like use 3 words to describe yourself, who you are, to our audience?
Okay.
Yeah.
Passionate. I'm absolutely passionate about what I do. I'm also very much inquisitive, so I like to deep dive into the phenomenon. And then I'm purpose-led. Purpose-led means I have a dream in my life, and I always try to follow this. I, for instance, love teaching. For me, teaching was a purpose.
Could you give us a brief self-introduction?
Stefania Saviolo. I'm a professor at Bocconi University and the Bocconi School of Management. I've been there for many years teaching management and in particular focusing on brand management. And in my professional life, I'm also a consultant, a board member, and I work with companies in developing their brands and in creating an engaging communication strategy.
3 words to describe the industry that you are so passionate about.
Creative, complex, people-centric.
So I'm just wondering, what ignited your passion for brand management, and any interesting stories that you want to share with our audience?
Branding is a very fascinating discipline because it merges art and science. Okay, this is what was very fascinating for me. And so studying branding was for me a perfect synthesis between the art, because branding means also stylistic identity, design, and corporate identity, and at the same time management and science, because the brand management means taking care, of course, strictly of the positioning, of the merchandising of the product, of the retail operations, of the media planning. And you talk also in companies both with designers and product managers that do have to take care of the more creative part, and at the same time with people that has to do with finance and operation and supply chain, so the hardware of the brand.
We all know that brand management is hard to summarize in a nutshell, but can you tell us which is the key to successful brand management?
For me, I always tell my students and also the companies I'm dealing with that branding is about a promise well delivered. And I would say the promise is actually the solution you give to the market, to your consumers. So there are many different needs in the market. You have to target with your promise the solution that provides a benefit. And then the second part of the branding definition, well delivered, means that the promise has to be delivered in a consistent way to the market. And the more you are a luxury brand, the more you need to be very focused on the exclusivity of your channel. And the third element of a good delivery of the promise is the communication identity, and actually have the right contents for the right media in the right time. I always say that brands are becoming media companies, right? In particular in China, it's very important to be able to broadcast all the time, in particular for the new generation. And so this part of storytelling and content generation through communication is becoming crucial. So to sum up, successful branding means a relevant solution to the market, well delivered through the right products, the right distribution mix, and through the right media channels.
Which brand do you think is very successful?
Yes, I can make an example, for instance, of a brand that has been growing a lot in the last years, that is Gucci, because they made a promise to a younger customer, that is the millennial and even the Gen Z customer, of a brand that was more inclusive. The designer was able really to capture which were the necessities in the market, by the way, keeping the long-term brand identity of Gucci still valid. The style of the product was revised by Alessandro Michele in a more inclusive and funny and geek chic. This is the definition of the style, geek chic fashion that was very important for the market. The designer himself started a conversation with the market through many digital channels, becoming really a storyteller at the end.
So you've also taught many Chinese students. How have they inspired you from a different perspective?
Chinese students are very, in my class at least, inquisitive. So the Chinese students are very, very much interested in the culture behind, in the creativity also side of it. They look like very much fascinated. I see they have also a specific sensitivity for what I was telling you, understanding more of the creativity, of the aesthetics, of the style. Yeah. But I love to work with Chinese students because they are very interested in the topic and, as I said, very inquisitive.
When you first came to China, what was the environment for luxury brands like? Could you give us a brief description? And also, how did the public view luxury brands?
It was many, many years ago. I'm passionate about the Chinese market. You can see in my background my Chinese closet in the 90s, end of the 90s. I was there for the first time. Let me say that the presence of luxury brands was mainly in the shopping arcades of hotels, and was very connected, let's say, with tourists or people on the move. Was a really very limited market of Hong Kong at that time.
According to your observation, how have the Chinese people's consumption mindset changed over these years? Could you evaluate the fashion styles of Chinese people over these years? What are the changes?
I remember that, of course, as happened also in the Western markets, there was a little bit of logomania, right? There was not much knowledge yet about what the brand was all about, a sort of total look, right? I'm a Chanel person, your person, Prada person. I'm liking the logo, the style. I don't discuss much, right? I like that style. I buy into the style. What I've been seeing over the years, also from my Chinese students, the students I have in Milan, I interact with them a lot, was really a move from logo, I would say, to self-expression, to identity, curiosity also, a lot of curiosity for the background of the brand, the story, a more, let's say, objective, a subjective kind of relation with the brand itself. And what I see now is more creativity, for instance, of the Chinese young people, sometimes even compared to Italians or European. So they are more willing to experiment, they are more willing to mix and match, to find their way into fashion also, mixing and matching local influences and local brands and local aesthetics, local colors, local graphics with Western, more iconic styles.
What do you think of the development of Chinese brands? How do you foresee its future?
They are very much advanced in terms of designing a customer experience, and in particular a digital experience. So I see this system very advanced. We can learn a lot from this. Chinese brands very strong on the experience. Probably the next step is the product. So product quality, product aesthetics, product creativity. We will have the generation of Chinese designers.
Yeah, I agree. So how has the pandemic affected luxury products? Do you think it triggers compensatory consumption?
I think that the effect of a pandemic has, in a sense, accelerated some trends, accelerated this value shift. That is a little bit more in line with what I was already saying. of self-actualization, willingness to buy brands that are aligned with your values. Consumer after pandemic are more and more concerned, more and more attentive and interested in understanding more about what they buy, right? And this is also driven by the fact that some brands are really changing the way they speak, right? They are more inclusive, they tell you more about how they participate to the global conversation, they are more transparent, so they tell more about how they make products, where they make products, who made their products. And customers are getting used to it, right? Even if they don't want, they keep listening to this kind of conversations, and this will become part of their actually mental framework when they approach brands. Everything now is very transparent, and so you have to play the game really in an honest way.
What do you think is the main reason that more and more people are spending money on luxury products? Is it because of like more disposable income or peer pressure, or just for better quality service, or just to pursue a feeling of superiority? What do you think of it?
I think that they are a sort of gratification tool. You know what I mean? So you buy luxury to please yourself. And you can please yourself for many reasons, or because you made something important and you want to give you a prize, or because you want to even show off your social identity if you are, changing job or you are scaling up in society, or because you want simply to dream, with a beautiful product that makes you enter into a community, into a lifestyle. So I always consider luxury goods as a vehicle to enter into a journey, into a dream, and not just as a product itself. And so even in particular, after this year of suffering or being contactless or being alone, you want to still be part of the world, because let's consider that fashion is also life, right? Fashion is going around restaurants, parties, getting dressed to meet people, right? And so I think that is something more than just buying things. Transactional is something that rewards and support the spirit.
Do you have any suggestion for young people who want to enter this industry, or maybe like career changer?
The industry is changing a lot for all the reasons that we were discussing. For instance, in Western market, of course, there is a priority that is digital. Physical and digital store is a competence very much in demand. So a digital background is very much in demand, and is not something we had much in education, for instance, for fashion. And this is true also for people willing to be creative. It's not enough to be able to design. Designers need to be also merchandisers, understand how their dresses or bags will be proposed on a digital screen that is big like that. So also the designer role is changing a lot. Let me say the designer needs also to be very much attentive on the sustainability side. You have to think about the long life cycle of a product, the upcycling, recycling, the waste. And this is, for instance, a thing that designers should have in their mind. So my suggestion is, first of all, as I always say, follow your passion, because this is an industry where you have to be passionate about, and also very informed, because fashion, luxury, they are ever changing. So, but if you want to work in roles that are close to the product, for instance, branding is one, branding, merchandising, communication, even retail, you have to understand the fashion language. You have to understand the style, you have to understand the contents, you have to understand the consumer. Otherwise, it's very difficult, because the product keeps changing. So passion, a little bit of attitude, and then invest on the areas that are mostly in demand, that are new vision of creativity, retail operation, and digital.